Do not adjust your digital device. What you are about to see and hear may shock and appall you. Join our hosts as they encounter countless thrills, spills, chills, and hilarity as they explore the very weirdest in pop culture. The following media is so strange, so beyond the scope of what is normal, it will make you ask the question, why does this exist? Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Why Does This Exist? I'm Chris.
And I'm Rob.
And today we are going to talk about the Wu-Tang Clan, arguably the greatest rap group in the history of rap. Now, we're not talking about them. Now, why are they weird? Not specifically, well, not just because of the old dirty bastard, but simply because they revolutionized the hip-hop game. They changed the game forever. Kind of like how NWA did about 10-ish years earlier when they basically invented the entire gangster rap genre, or at least they helped
even 10 years
they helped
earlier.
popularize it. Was it? Weren't they about 83, the first album?
No.
Straight Outta Compton?
First album was like 90 or 89.
No. Was it 90?
Yeah.
Was it 89? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, excuse me. I'm a schmuck. So nobody... All right, I've lost all credibility. You can go home now in digital media device land. Well, anyway, they capitalized
88.
on the... okay, my bad. They capitalized on gangster rap, and they basically took it to a whole new level, and they basically took to it with a business plan strategy, and they moved around. First of all, they had the largest group at the time, if not of all time. I'm sure there's been groups that have been larger, but 9 people just went in and made it big as one group, and then they splintered themselves off into as many solo projects as they could, and they basically overtook the entire hip-hop world by the balls, and they never stopped.
I think Wu-Tang
They are
Clan...
easily the most successful rap group in the entire game.
Well, they're really the only one of the few rap groups, first of all, that had stayed together as long as they did, because they've been together since 1992 on and off.
Yeah.
For one. And for two, also, I think they're probably the best like rap group where most of their solo members actually had very successful careers as well, like solo careers.
Yes,
because like oftentimes what happens is like example like NWA, like you'll have like varying levels of success with each of the members after NWA broke up. But like Wu-Tang Clan really has like pretty much everybody that's been in Wu-Tang Clan has had like some kind of success in their own solo careers, like pretty much like, you know, with chart topping albums, which is you don't see often.
No, they're a complete anomaly.
Yeah.
And yeah, they've just never stopped being successful. Like whether it's been just through their own albums or any form of media, like the RZA he makes soundtracks for Hollywood now.
Yeah.
They've been successful in a lot of different business ventures, from even overtaking like the clothing line with Wu Wear, which even they did not like the quality, and I'm not sure if they even still to this day do not like the quality of the clothes that they have.
Yeah.
I have a Wu-Tang Clan shirt from them officially, and like I didn't buy it from like a mall or anything. I bought it like I had gotten it directly from Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
And I have to say it like the print the there's something about the screen printing that isn't great about the logo. But otherwise it's a pretty good shirt. But notwithstanding, they've just gone into other successful business ventures. Like, I think last year or 2 years ago, they have kind of their own deal with with the Alamo Draft House, where they have a kung fu cinema that's like still does like the drive-in style. It's part of the Alamo, but I think it's exclusive to Kung Fu, and it's in Staten Island, and it's like specifically the Wu-Tang Clan's thing, or like just going into Hulu and like going into streaming and having the biopic of of the group spanning 3 seasons. I haven't gotten around to watching the third season yet because we've been waiting for it to just end so we can binge all of it.
Yeah.
And then Succession started. So now once Succession's over, we'll probably get on that because we want to try to just get like one show at a time. But I loved the first 2 seasons. Yes, they editorialized a few things, but what biopic doesn't?
Yeah.
And also it was like produced and monitored like heavily with the Wu-Tang Clan's involvement. So
RZA's like an executive producer, I think.
Yeah, and this is his show and he's his pitch and everything. So
Yeah.
like it's done. You can tell that it's being done that it's being done well and it's being done right.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've kind of done everything, even spreading into acting. Like Method Man, we've seen him for ages. I mean, they all kind of branched into acting in their own way. They've all at least made appearances on things, and they really just took the entire world by storm. And they just came out of like Killer Hill, Staten Island, just crazy. But let me run into our quick thing. I'm not going to really do too much of an intro because I really just want to get into this. But we are Why Does This Exist? We're a podcast that talks about the very weirdest in pop culture, regardless of whether it's a music group like we're about to do, or if it's a video game like we did a couple of weeks ago, or a movie like we did last week. We're gonna hit everything that we possibly can. If it's weird in some way, we're gonna figure it out, and you can support us by heading onto our YouTube channel. You can find us, or you can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. And you can also support us, which we strongly would like you to do, is head on over to Patreon. We have a bunch of additional content like articles and stuff. It's patreon.com/whydoesthisexist. Give us as little as $1. We'll let you in the Discord and you can come hang out. We could just talk trash about each other the entire time. We might even let you be on the show. That's the news. Here's the weather. You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge from a ragtag group of rogues. Let's start at the beginning with the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yes. So Wu-Tang Clan was originally founded in 1992 by cousins RZA, Jizza, and Old Dirty Bastard. They were all cousins. They grew up in Staten Island. And they originally started out as a different group, just the three of them, that was called Force of the Imperial Master, and they were also known as All In Together Now crew.
Yeah, they were all big kung fu fans. So
yes.
A lot of when you listen to their music, a lot of samples are taken from some of their favorite kung fu movies,
yes.
And also just the name Wu-Tang Clan came from a kung fu movie, and
yes.
So did a lot of their things.
Yeah, a lot of their samples are directly from kung fu movies, and they actually, I was I think RZA was on the Joe Rogan Experience a while back, probably 2 or 3 years ago now, and I think he had said that they had released some movies, like they found some kung fu movies and kind of released it themselves, and I think RZA said that they put some Wu-Tang tracks in the movies. Basically.
Nice.
I forget what it was exactly. It was something along those lines, but yeah. So anyway, they started out this group, which ended up they never got signed or anything like that. But they started to get some attention in the local New York scene, and in '92 they met up with some more local rappers from the New York scene. Inspector Deck, Ghostface Killah, Method Man, Raekwon, and they started the Wu-Tang Clan. And the whole philosophy behind the Wu-Tang Clan was basically it was supposed to kind of be like a loose collective of rappers that would collaborate for some albums, but also do their own solo albums. in
Right.
and a big part, they were actually had trouble in the beginning getting signed because they wanted to find a record label that would allow them to record on other labels as solo artists, which was hard for them to find.
Well, first
And
of
eventually,
all, it's amazing that they were even able to find that to get that to happen because
yes,
no label was going to let them do that.
yeah,
They had a
yeah,
lot of trouble.
yes, yeah, they did, and that's why they weren't signed for a little bit while they, before they when they first formed. It actually took them quite a while to get signed because of that. But they eventually did get signed, and they released the first album, uh, uh, Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers, in 1993. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it is probably the best debut album in hip hop of all time, period. Like, hands
Yeah.
down. It's just so good. There's like literally every track is a banger. Like, there's not one filler track on the whole album.
No, and it's arranged so they like really like bleed into each other, and there's like there's a good theme going throughout it, and like even the sketches are pretty hilarious.
Yes.
Like my dad, who hates cursing and anything like that, or like really anything that's like anything fun, he really doesn't like it for the most part. I don't know. I guess that happens to you when you hit your 40s and beyond, but I hope that doesn't happen to me because I like having fun. But anyway, he usually hates things like this.
Mhm.
Like I probably said it before. This is the man who, if he heard someone cursing on TV and they said something stronger than hell, he like there would be a giant gasp coming from him that would echo the entire house, and he would turn it off, or he would freak out, and he would say, "We can't watch this anymore," or "We can't do this," or whatever. He listened to a Wu-Tang sketch because I happened to have it on, and he came downstairs at the old house while I was doing laundry, and he stops, and I'm like, "Oh, great, here we go. He's gonna tell me to turn this thing off." I was about 27 at the time, and I'm still like, "All right, he's gonna hate this," and he like starts cracking up, and I'm like, "Really? Like, this is the thing that you find?" I'm like, "This is the thing that you have no problem with," which was just about the worst thing possible as with expletives.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, these guys are really funny," and I'm like, "You have to be kidding me."
Yeah.
But go figure.
Maybe because he knew they were from New York. It was like a kindred spirit thing.
My dad did not know that they were from New York. My dad didn't know anything about you really can, but my dad had no knowledge of the Wu-Tang Clan. He just...
Well, speaking of being from New York, you can really tell, and I think that's one of my favorite aspects of Wu-Tang Clan is that they are very much the East Coast style, where it's like their beats are almost like lo-fi beats. Like they're very like almost like a garage sound, like, and I believe the first album was actually recorded in RZA's basement.
Yeah, I think the first couple were the first few,
and some of their solo work too.
Well, that's what I mean by the first couple. As in, like the first album and a few of the first couple of solo albums were recorded and produced in the RZA's basement until there was a flood, which unfortunately, Inspectah Deck's debut album was lost.
Yeah.
To time and the flood, and they couldn't recover it. And a lot of people feel like Inspectah Deck kind of got the short end of the stick because his album got delayed until I think 95.
Oh yeah.
And it was like GZA hit, like first Wu-Tang hit, then GZA hit, Method Man hit, ODB hit, and then by that time, like Inspectah Deck's album, because it was so delayed and it had gotten changed over because it originally was going to have a Spider-Man theme going on, and it got changed and I don't know if the RZA produced the whole album or just parts of it.
Yeah.
but it wasn't fully done the way that that it should have been. So he kind of got a like a rough shake on that first album. But a lot of
Yeah.
people think that had Inspector Deck's album not gotten lost in the flood, and we got what was originally intended, that he would have been the most successful of the group.
Yeah.
I think as far as solo albums go, a lot of people like Method Man's T-Cal or Ty-Cal. I can't pronounce it right, and I'm sorry. All the hip hop fans are going to shoot me now.
I think it's T-Cal.
I think it is T-Cal, but I don't know. But a lot of people like that one. I think the best one, hands down, and a lot of people like ODB's also, which is great in its own right. I think Jizz's Liquid Swords is the best one.
Yeah, Liquid Swords is also my favorite. I think it stays closest to the source material of like the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
It's almost more like also Jizz's album featured every member of the Wu-Tang Clan on it, so it was almost really Wu-Tang's second album in a way.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
Which is kind of like when Eazy-E's solo album came out. Eazy-E's first solo album was very much almost like I don't want to say a full NWA album, but it was pretty close because like everybody from NWA was on it, and it was like and produced by Dre, so it sounded just like Straight Outta Compton basically.
Yeah.
But Jizz is definitely Liquid Swords is amazing, and of course the title track samples the movie Shogun Assassin, which kind of like I think probably brought that movie into like the American mainstream, I think a little bit because of that album specifically. I think obviously most of the movies that they sampled are obscure, like kung fu and Japanese like samurai movies and stuff. So I think really the Wu-Tang Clan kind of brought like a lot of that, and made people aware of that in a lot of ways that wouldn't normally have like seen those movies or heard of those movies.
Yeah.
Because
I think
of sampling.
For sure, because I ended up looking up what movies are these from, and then just checking some of them out like just years ago. I'd have to rewatch them again because now, like, heads up to people not in your 30s yet, your brain gets all mushy and you forget stuff a lot. That's the part that I don't like about my 30s, but otherwise it's great, I guess. But the another interesting thing is the Wu-Tang. The idea of the Wu-Tang, I'm sure RZA was kicking it around in his head for a long time, but he didn't really get the kick in the pants that he needed until he got what he thought was his big break at the time, which was probably his biggest failure, but also like the blessing in disguise that he needed. Like most people who just wanted to make it in the music business, RZA just wanted to get discovered and just like play the music industry game the way that he best understood it at the time, and just wanted to go do something for the label, just do whatever he had to do. Like if the label producer tells you they want you to jump, you have to you got to ask him how high, and then like try to do it. He had signed onto Tommy Boy Records, and he under the name Prince Rakim, and he released a single with them. I think he had signed a possible album deal, but they like dropped him because the single did very poorly, and honestly, it wasn't his authentic self, and he didn't want to really do it. It was just this like stupid, typical hip hop track. If you listen to it now, it's like, well, typical hip hop track of the time, more like a hokey kind of thing, which was not like it was almost like they were trying to make it like a Digital Underground type of thing, except Digital Underground is awesome and Prince Rakim was just not very good, and even the RZA has like made fun of it, where he's like, yeah, that was just a terrible thing that I did. if you listen to to his single "We Love You, Rakim," it's just the worst, and the music video that they accompanied with it was just terrible too. Um, he did have another like single on there too, but it like I believe it's called some my Venom or Love My Venom or something like that. It's got something to do with Venom, but it like wasn't. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
It wasn't very good, and they dropped him, and he was like back to square one. And then he was like, "Okay, I can't." He's like, "I got to do it my way." So he kind of just told them, "Listen, I need you guys to just be clean. Don't like, if you're dealing, don't deal anymore. Don't do anything that could get you like, arrested or anything like that. Just like, I need you guys to just dedicate like 5 years of your time
Yeah.
and just trust me. I got a plan, and if we follow this correctly, then we're all gonna be rich in 5 years, and we're all gonna be like the face of the hip hop industry, and nobody's gonna and like we're gonna have it in the palm of our hand."
Yeah.
The Jizza also, um, he had he also had a had an earlier hip hop career too, as the Genius.
Mm-hmm.
He released an album. Um, it was just okay. It was also similar to like, just whatever the mainstream hip hop was, and it was just like, okay, we need you to just do like regular rap, like just don't like, don't try to rock the boat, just do this, and do like, songs about chasing women and a couple of other things here and there. Just like we want you to just be like just simple, like top of the charts, like just basic, bland, generic, just like everybody else. And like it wasn't like I listened to it today. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
bad. Words from the Genius, but it just wasn't like it wasn't even. It's not even close
Yeah.
to anything that he did with Wu-Tang. Like you could tell, like this guy was like do it. Like you could tell that he was like, all right, it's like at least I'm doing this, but this is like this is just so like this is just I could do this in my sleep. Like there's no challenge here.
Yeah.
I'm like I know that I'm better than this. You could tell that at the time he's just like I need to reach my full potential. I can't
Yeah.
do that here.
Yeah.
And Wu-Tang Clan, I think everybody was able to just surpass their true potential.
Yes. Well, a big uh Wu-Tang Clan really, I think they pushed boundaries in terms of like even in the hip hop genre, because they didn't really espouse the same things that every other rappers were doing at the time. They kind of they went with this Eastern like the lyrics in I mean were influenced a lot by Eastern philosophy and kung fu movies, of course.
Yes. Oh,
Um
sorry. I just want to make a quick correction.
yeah,
The Inspector Deck's debut was released in 1999, so
yeah,
even further of them than I thought.
yeah. Um and so the kung fu movies and Eastern philosophy really influenced their lyrics, as well as
That's right. It was
um
supposed to come out in 1995. That's what I meant.
as
Okay.
well as RZA is part of the 5% Nation, which is a black nationalist movement that's like very heavily influenced by Islam.
Mm.
Um so that was like a lot of it was in there. And it's almost like if you listen to RZA, he's actually like a very like intelligent, well-spoken, philosophical guy. And like
Yeah.
it really comes out in the lyrics, because it's not like really like you're listening to average rap lyrics. It's like really like if you really listen, there's some like a lot of like deep stuff in the lyrics, which is
Yeah.
not common in like a lot of like mainstream rap music, at least.
No, there's a lot of layers to it. It's similar to excuse me. It's similar to the music that he creates, which
Yeah.
there's there's a lot of depth to it, like you said, but
Hmm.
also between the music itself and his and lyrically there is a lot. There's just a lot going on that you need to unpack. Like
Yes.
it doesn't always sound. It doesn't always seem to make sense, and you have to really like think about it, and then you're like, oh, okay, that's what he was talking about.
Right.
Like it isn't like and it's probably some of the more different um like writing out of the whole group,
Yeah.
because a lot of the other guys like we'll just take we'll take the more obvious ones.
Yeah.
Like Method Man really just hits you right away. Like
Mhm.
like like there's nothing that you could do about it, and it just hits you all at once, and you're like, whoa, that was awesome. And then ODB kind of shows up, and you're like, wow, that was weird, but I
Yeah.
kind of like that.
Yeah.
And then like
Well, he earns his name, ODB.
oh yes he does, yes he does. And then like the RZA stuff will hit you, and you're like, huh, I wonder what that was about. And then
it's like really
like,
profound.
yes, and it like that's the difference maker.
Yeah.
And then
And
like
it's a good juxtaposition between all of the different
is.
voices on the record, because like, you get all these different perspectives, and they all grew up, in the streets of Staten Island, and they all had different experiences growing up, and it really comes out in the lyrics.
well,
And I think that's
I think it also helps the New York flavor of it, because New York is just such a melting pot that here you have a melting pot of 9 different styles, 9 different backgrounds, 9 different everything, even 9 different deliveries.
Yes.
Coming at you, and it really like it shifts the balance all over the place. Like you're not just listening to one way, you're listening to all the ways, which is the Wu way.
Yes. I think
it's pretty cool.
Another big reason why Wu-Tang Clan is so unique in the hip hop genre is that RZA has stated that he doesn't really like to use samples that much. Like he will, but like I think he said only like 20% of the album is sampled, and the other 80% is actually just him like writing music.
Well, that's good. That's also what made it very different.
Exactly.
Too, because in up until that point, I mean, even after, like, just a lot of rap was just 90% of it was all samples that were just replayed over and over, and like it only took 2 Live Crew to get hit with a bunch of cease and desist lawsuits.
Exactly.
To make people not want to make people even realize that what they were doing was probably not the best way to put together a beat, and that they really should be focusing on being equally creative in that department. And and RZA was the only one really doing something like that.
Yeah, and he stated that he only would use samples if it was something that nobody else was using. If it was like a really unique beat that like hadn't been used really a lot extensively in other albums, he's like, okay, then I'll do that. So he really, producing the album, RZA really tried to make it sound like make Wu-Tang Clan their own sound, which, and kind of like make them stand out in the hip hop scene.
Yeah, because before that, it was really because like otherwise every other beat that you got, it was just a bunch of samples layered under a funky drummer and drum beat, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like the only difference was really just the speed.
Yes. And that really comes out when you listen to the record, because it has such a unique sound. And that's one of my favorite parts about Wu-Tang Clan is that like, I like a lot of like hip hop, especially old school hip hop, and but like Wu-Tang Clan just stands out for me, and it's like almost like listening to like with the lo-fi sound and the garage feel, it's almost like listening to a rock album, or like an old school rock album, like a 70s like Sabbath album or something. It's just so like different sounding, and it's very like a lot of like the beats and the backing tracks are kind of like have this like ominous foreboding tone to it. So it's like it's got like this darkness to it, which is I really like in music. I listen to like a lot of dark music, like just like like minor key signatures and like quieter and like lower like just stuff that like feels dark, and that really comes out on the Wu-Tang records, you know. So RZA did just such a great job of producing and doing that, because like he really stands out, and I think really influenced the New York scene like a lot, because pretty much the whole East Coast rap scene started to use that kind of like lo-fi sound, and you go forward to like to like Biggie Smalls and stuff, and like he kind of was using that similar like lo-fi, low production, not a lot of like heavy bass, just like kind of like this very tinny sounding drums, like that kind of became the East Coast sound, and a lot of it is thanks to RZA, because that's like he was just doing what he thought would be good and would stand out.
Yeah, and it's what I like is I keep going back to it, not just to re-experience the music, but I have a completely different experience every time that I listen to the Wu-Tang Clan, because of how many layers that RZA has put onto every single track, and how much care and time that he spent nurturing this thing. And I'll notice something very different about the beat itself and about the background music that's going on. Like I'm not like half the time I don't even listen to the lyrics, and I'm just like, whoa, this is new. Or like, okay, I didn't hear that piano before. Oh, there's a second piano under that. Oh, there's something else over this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, what's going on? Okay, this is only coming out of the left side.
Yeah.
Or, vice versa. Or, oh crap, now it's like going in between the two while this guy's doing stuff and his stuff is going in the opposite direction. Like, there's so many different things going on. And I had seen where an interview where he was talking about where like the RZA was talking about his process, and he was saying that a lot of the times he would just have like a basic arrangement of that he would just have the guys go in the studio and just rap over and just do their lines and just deliver it the way that they were delivering it to the original beat. And then he would change the beat afterwards and reorder whoever fit the certain arrangement that he made now, because he always had like the scratch track that he put together, and that he would have them go over, and then afterwards he had what he was working on when they would all go home when he was by himself. He would put together what the real backing track was going to be, and they wouldn't know a lot of the times until the album came out, and they were like, wait, I thought I was supposed to go in this order. And he was like, no, I just had you go in that order that day.
Yeah.
And it didn't fit with what I was doing. And they were like, well, where's the beat that you had? I thought it was better. And he was like, it's not. Yeah. This is the track. So like, it's kind of funny that like it was a little that like he kind of like has like a wacky quirk like that. But at the same time, it's like, dude, that's so cool. Like it shows how far ahead the RZA plans everything. Like how like just his methodical approach to everything, even going to the music itself.
Yeah.
Like he just has such a business sense for everything.
He really is like a genius. Like he's
he's
incredibly like, intelligent person. Like,
yes, this is a guy who's playing chess while the rest of the world is playing marbles.
Yeah, exactly. And which is funny because actually chess is like one of his like favorite games, and he often plays chess. Like that's
I'm sure he does.
Yeah. He's just like, and he also has like this philosophy on life that like you don't really see from like a lot of like musicians or people that are kind of at his level, producers and stuff like that. He's very like a philosophical. He has this Eastern philosophy, and he combines all these different like Buddhism and Taoism and Christianity and Islam all into this like personal like philosophy that he like uses in his own life. And it's like the guy's like a real like a real Renaissance man. He really is like just a super intelligent guy that is like into like so many different things. And it's all because like he just really liked kung fu films growing up as a kid, and that like just kind of like colored his whole like like outlook on life, you know?
Yeah. I can't say that any better. And even just, and I want to talk about the other guys too, because I
Yeah.
don't just want this to be the RZA podcast, but the guy is a genius, even
Yeah.
though the Jizza is also a genius, but he's also the genius. But it's just amazing how much success they were able to achieve, just not only as a group but on their own, and it's just unparalleled. Like, um, but it is it is a little bit sad. There is, of course, a sad part of the story is that Old Dirty Bastard passed away in 2004. Um, and the guy had he had an interesting time, and he was a very interesting character. One of
Yeah.
his stage names, um, Unique Ason, or Ason Unique. He definitely was a son unique.
Yeah.
He, his style was probably the most different out of all of them, where he would do all these like wacky, he would do all these wacky like maneuvers with his voice, and
Mm-hmm.
he would kind of sing things, but also not really sing them.
Yeah.
Like he was a very funny guy. He clearly looked he totally looked like the guy that was like he looked out of place with the way that he would do his hair and everything, and also he was just he was just very out there, but he also, he liked to do a lot of drugs. He liked to party pretty hard, and
Yeah.
also but he also was like big into conspiracies and a lot of other things. And he like around 98 he started acting really erratic, like his like he was always like kind of the guy, like, yeah, he's a weird dude, but he's like, we love him, he's our man.
Yeah.
And then around 98 he started getting like a little wacky, and he like there were points where like some of the stuff that was covered was like him going to the was like MTV had like captured it, where like he did a publicity stunt where somehow he like spent all of his money and everything, and he went into he like went down to go get his welfare check. Somehow he was getting welfare because I think he had a bunch of kids with and um and he's riding in a limo going down to get his welfare check, and it's like
Yeah.
one of the funniest. Yeah, like it's one of the funniest things that MTV has done, and it's like an iconic moment, but it's also like kind of sad at the same time too, because it's like, what happened to this dude?
Yeah.
Um, and that's kind of the part that gets overlooked, is is like no one really thinks what was really going on in this guy's life at the time for him to do all this.
Yeah.
And he also just developed health issues, and he like in '04 he collapses in at the recording studio, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they've never stopped like Wu-Tang has never stopped um remembering his legacy and like letting people know, hey, this guy was our brother and he existed, and like he put out great music too, and we should honor him. So
Yeah.
but he was just such an interesting guy, and
Yeah.
his albums were also really good because they were so different from everything else.
Yeah. I believe one of Wu-Tang's later albums, he was actually in prison at the time for a parole violation in California, and they
Yeah.
actually had to record his vocal parts on the prison phone, which is probably like the craziest, most badass story of like an album recording ever. That the fact that they had to actually like go to the prison and record it through like the prisoner phone,
Oh, for
his
sure.
vocals, it's just crazy. Um, yeah, but he definitely the most troubled member of the Wu-Tang Clan. Um, I think he later admitted that he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, which probably caused a lot of his erratic behavior.
Yeah, that
Um,
makes a lot of sense.
he was also involved in a lot of like crazy encounters with the police in his time.
Yeah,
Uh,
which there's actually a whole conspiracy theory about whether or not like he was like killed by the FBI or
yeah,
something.
yeah. So the like he was actually shot at by police officers who claimed that he had a gun and was shooting at them. But when the investigation was actually complete, he was cleared of all charges, ODB, because there was no shell casings or gun found in his vehicle, only his cell phone, and the cops had like fired like a number of shots. So the fact that he survived that without getting killed is amazing for one.
Yeah.
He was also convicted for possessing a bulletproof vest, which was illegal for convicted felons to do at the time. So he was wearing a bulletproof vest. So he clearly thought like someone was after him because he was wearing a bulletproof vest all the time.
I mean, maybe they were. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Um,
there.
there was in 2012 apparently there was a Freedom of Information Act request sent to the FBI for ODB's file, and so numerous details were released, including, I guess, connections to 3 possible murders, the shootout with the NYPD, which again ended up with ODB being cleared because he didn't actually fire any shots, and then apparently a RICO investigation that was taking place against Wu-Tang Clan, which is like crazy if you think about, because like
Oh
really
yeah.
like they're, you know, that's like insane that they're going after like a rap group with Rico, you know, as if they're like some criminal freaking conspiracy.
I think what they thought was going on was they were smuggling guns through like Ohio or something,
Yeah.
which turned out to not be the case, of course.
Yeah.
Like whether or not they were trying to just pin something on the Wu-Tang Clan
Yeah.
or if like they really thought they had something is up for debate. But I think it's just insane that this even was a thought in someone's mind.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
we're all well aware that the government has investigated people that they feel are like, you know, too revolutionary, I guess, you know, like you know, the FBI had files on the Beatles, John Lennon, various music artists over the years. So it's no surprise that they would have, you know, files on or were, you know, observing Wu-Tang Clan as well, because, you know, RZA was putting a lot of profound lyrics and you know, a lot of like you know, challenging the status quo a lot, you know, in the lyrics. So that probably contributed to it, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure it definitely got them on their radar.
Yeah.
And you know we've seen it how many times where you know where someone gets assassinated over something like this.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't rule it out
No, I wouldn't
that
either.
this has something to that maybe it might have something to do with it, but also I can't say for certain. So I think the jury's kind of out as to whether or not they were trying to like track him down or something, or maybe they were trying to like get him to since they knew he was bipolar, he would be the one that would be the easiest manipulated.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that he would be the one that they like. If I were a federal agent trying to pin a racketeering group, trying to pin a RICO case on like a rap group, I would want to target the people who have the most who have the most history with mental health issues first, because they would be the easiest ones to flip.
Yes.
Because not just because they would be afraid, but also because you could pretty much intimidate them into like writing into signing a confession of whatever it is that you actually want them to say, whether or not it actually happened, because the confession is all that matters. We've seen this all the time. There's a whole documentary on how basically an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm saved this guy's life.
Oh yeah.
From not going to prison because the police officers were trying to just pin a murder on somebody.
He was
and
in prison for the murder, and he was exonerated based on an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Because he was in the crowd at this baseball
Yeah.
game at the time of the alleged murder.
Yeah, that's right, because he was awaiting death row, I think.
Yeah, he was actually in prison for a number of years before he was finally exonerated, thanks to that. And a lot of times, and this is unfortunate because our justice system is highly flawed, is that the authorities will just pin crimes on innocent people because they just want to close the case as fast as possible instead of actually get justice. So they just find someone to act as a patsy and pin crimes on them.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate, and a lot of times, unfortunately, it happens to minorities. Which in this case, obviously, Wu-Tang Clan. It's they're black people, so why of course we everyone's aware of the history of racism.
Yes,
between law
Sadly.
enforcement. Yeah, so it's just it's a sad thing, but it probably contributed to ODB's death because
if they weren't responsible, then it definitely contributed.
Yeah, I don't think they were directly responsible, but they were absolutely the reason why he was doing drugs is probably because of his mental illness, which was being exacerbated by the fact that he was being harassed by the authorities constantly.
Yeah, well, he may have enjoyed some of them, but I would say increased drug use for sure.
Yes. Yeah, especially someone who's bipolar and probably has this paranoid fear that something's happening to them because it's people that have bipolar disorder often have that paranoia, not as bad as someone who's a paranoid schizophrenic, but it is still there.
Yes.
So, even if they weren't directly harassing him, the fact that they had in the past, he's constantly looking over his shoulder, and I'm sure that increased his drug use in order to cope with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so everybody else though in Wu-Tang is still alive. ODB is unfortunately the only one who passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And Wu-Tang is still together again, which is very, very rare for rap groups. There's really not many that stayed together as long as they have.
No, not at all.
And all have had very successful solo careers, and have done a number of projects outside of music too.
Yeah,
Ghostface Killah has his own beer, which is actually,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I've tried it before. It's infused with ghost pepper, so it's you take a sip of it and it tastes like a regular beer. You're like, oh, it's not too bad, and then all of a sudden it's like in the old Bugs Bunny cartoons or something where the fuse is lit and the fire just goes from the tip of your lips down your throat. It's it's crazy.
I gotta try this.
What's it's I think it's just called Ghostface Killah.
All right, that would make sense.
Yeah. I don't know if it's still made. This was 6 or 7 years ago I tried this, so it was a while ago.
Let me find out. And Method Man has been, widely successful. He just branched off into acting completely.
Had his own TV show on, I believe, Fox, Method and Redman.
Yeah, he was in just a ton of movies. He also had several graphic novels too.
Yeah.
Under Grand Central Publishing. Jizza and Ghostface Killah have done it too. But Method Man was the first one to do that.
RZA obviously has produced music for a number.
He also hosts. He also does a podcast for Marvel and Sirius that I don't know if it's still on, but he was doing it from 2021 on, called Marvel Method or Marvel and Method, and because he's got a ton of comic books.
RZA's also done music for a number of different things, movies. He did the theme song for Blade Trinity. He's done tracks for Afro Samurai. Wu-Tang Clan has also been in video games. There's actually a Wu-Tang Clan video game,
There is.
which is called. Hold on, I'm gonna find it right now. It's called Wu-Tang Shaolin Style. It's a fighting game for the PS1.
It looks like Ghostface Killer is real. It looks like it's still there.
Oh, okay. So there you go. If you want to try Ghostface Killer's beer, it's still available.
Yep, from the Twisted Pine Brewing Company.
So yeah, Wu-Tang Shaolin Style, which is a fighting game. Wu-Tang was also very heavily featured in the Def Jam games. So Def Jam Vendetta, Def Jam Fight for New York, and Def Jam Icon. Method Man is also stated that he is a huge fan of video games. He used to play SOCOM on PlayStation 2 online. He was actually in a clan. Was that?
I remember SOCOM.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So yeah, he's an avid gamer. And in a lot of ways, I think in terms of marketing, because Wu-Tang really, there is like so many different Wu-Tang products, and they put their name in a lot of stuff. Wu-Tang is almost like they're almost like the Kiss of hip hop, because they have so many different like marketing outlets that they do.
I think the difference is Kiss is like shameless and will do anything, where Wu-Tang will only do something if it makes sense with their fan base.
Yes, exactly.
Like Wu-Tang will actually think about it and say, okay, well, this is a good decision, so let's do it. Or, no, this is a bad idea, we're not going to do it. Where like Kiss is just like, what was that, money? Sure.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also the fact that RZA is often directly involved with a lot of these things, like, when they do a TV show, it's usually, either RZA or Jizza or like producers or somehow involved with it.
Yeah.
Whereas, when Kiss puts their name on something, it's probably just friggin', they'd probably be like, all right, Gene, what do you want to put your name on today? Oh, we have an offer from a coffin company to do Kiss coffins. He's like, yeah, here. And he just signs it and they do it. Like it's just stupid.
He might not even know. Like
he might not.
They might just go through. I'm sure there's like a Kiss licensing company that specifically just does that, and I'm sure at some point or another a fan just like finds him and asks him to sign something, and he's like, "Was this licensed?"
Yeah,
like I'm sure half of the Kiss products that he receives, that him and Paul receive like royalty checks for, they probably have no idea like that these things even exist. So I don't even know. It's Kiss is an interesting one. We'll have to get to them at some point. I mean, wacky Kiss products in itself could be an episode. Let's face it, but there's no way that we could spot them all. If something like Kiss has a Rule 34 thing of just things that exist with their name on it.
Yeah, pretty much.
So like,
if it exists, there's a Kiss version of it.
I mean, for God's sakes. I remember one time I walked into a Virgin Mega store. Remember that, kids? And they and on display was Kiss cologne.
Oh yeah.
Each pack was a different. Like I guess each scent was a different band member and a different color, and they came with Kiss condoms.
So bad.
Because if you're wearing Kiss cologne, you're guaranteed to get laid, I guess.
No.
60%
of the time, it works every time.
Yeah, I would say the Kiss cologne probably smelled terrible and was the Sex Panther of real life.
Yeah.
If anyone of you don't know what that is, just watch Anchorman.
Yeah. I think we should talk about the latest Wu-Tang album, which is called Once Upon a Time in Shaolin, and there was only one copy made of this album.
No, that's not the latest album. They've done. They did an album more recently, but
no, that's Wu-Tang Clan's. That's Wu-Tang Clan's latest album. Like that's like an original album, not like just a compilation.
I thought they did a different one lately.
No.
I'm pretty sure that they had done another one lately. Let me check Spotify. Unless I'm wrong and it was a compilation. Maybe I am wrong and it was.
There's The Saga Continues, which was a compilation album.
Okay. That's not the one that I was thinking of. I thought that they had done something different. I might be wrong.
Their last studio album is Once Upon a Time in Shaolin. Once Upon a Time in Shaolin it was a 2015 album. It was their first album. Oh no, they had done one the year previously, but it was like a big deal because like nobody thought they were going to release another album or something. It was like a whole thing, and they decided to only make one copy of this album. And the original plan, it was supposed to be, so it was recorded in secret over 6 years. It's a 2 CD album. I think there's 31 tracks on it. And so the original plan was to have it as a.
Oh my gosh! No, you're right. I was totally wrong. I got this confused with the side project. I got confused with Meth Lab Season 3, The Rehab. That was obviously Method Man's. Yeah, my bad, guys.
Yeah.
I'm making a lot of botches on this one.
Botchamania. Yeah, this is running wild.
It's running in my veins today. All of the botch fluid. I don't know. Whatever the botchamania is, the energy of botch, some form of botulism, I suppose. Wait, no, that's a different thing altogether. I'm botching all over the place. I'm not as bad as Ava Marie, but I'm pretty botch worthy on this one.
So the album they did a single copy, and the original intention was for it to be like as almost like an art installation that they were gonna like play in like public areas, museums, and stuff like that.
It was almost like a physical NFT in a way.
Yes, yeah, it kind of was in a lot of ways. So yeah, Wu-Tang Clan ahead of the curve on that.
Yeah, as usual.
So it ended up being. After it had done this like tour, I guess it was put up for auction, and so it was bought by Martin Shkreli, or Shkreli. I don't know how to pronounce this guy. He's a douchebag. Anyway,
farmer bro.
Yeah, farmer bro, who like everyone was in the news because he jacked up the price of an AIDS drug by like 5,000%. That was like a life-saving medication or whatever. Then,
basically this guy is exactly what's wrong with the U.S. Pharmaceutical industry, except it's one person.
Yes.
Like if you could contain the entity of the pharmaceutical industry into and personify it, and you could contain it into a human being, this is the guy. This is everything wrong with it.
Yes, and he was like, obviously nobody likes this guy. Like, I don't think literally, I've never met anyone that has liked this guy from any, he's a douchebag, complete douchebag. And ended up actually going to jail for securities fraud. So, haha. Yeah. But he bought the album reportedly for I think $2 million.
Yep.
The one copy of it that was available.
Yeah, he bought it through an online auction, which they didn't. I don't think they really knew that. I think in the Rogan episode that you were referencing, like the RZA was like, yeah, we didn't know who it was going to. We were getting a bunch of auctions, and we just a bunch of offers for this, and
there was an auction house that handled it. That handled the sales, so they really Wu-Tang Clan was not directly involved with the sale of the album,
right? Which like the RZA has said, if we did something like that again, we would want to vet the guy and make sure that it went to the right place and not what happened.
Yeah,
but continue and explain what happened.
So there is a legal agreement that the album could not be commercially exploited until the year 2103. It was only allowed to be played at listening parties, and so douchebag Martin Shkreli bought it and then just said, "Oh, well, I'm not playing it." He's like, I think he said, "If Donald Trump wins the 2016 election, then I'll live stream it," which I don't know if he actually did or not. But basically, he bought it just to keep it to himself because he's an asshole.
He broadcast bits and pieces of it on Periscope and something else called Hitbox TV. I don't know what Hitbox TV is, but I remember what Periscope was.
Yeah, Periscope I think still exists. It's like a
Does it?
Yeah, I think it's like a
Oh.
live. It's almost like a live streaming thing, but like you could do it on your phone, kind of like.
Yeah, I know what it is. I just don't know anybody that uses that
I
anymore.
yeah.
And when people did use it, I only knew like a handful of people that actually did.
Yeah, I've never met anyone that's used it. I've heard of it. I've never known anybody. I've never used it myself. I've never known anybody that uses it. So, um,
You actually do, but I won't tell. But I won't give up their names on the air.
oh,
Uh, I don't want these people to get caught up in any funny business.
is it someone who demands omelets?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, no. This person demands the respect of the entire nation. This is
Oh,
not some. No, this is a stand-up human.
okay. Um, so anyway, Shkreli fucking goes to jail for securities fraud, and in 2018, and so I guess when he was initially arrested, the FBI did not like seize the album. It was still at his apartment or penthouse, whatever the hell he lives in. His friggin' rich ass can afford. Um, but then apparently after he was actually convicted, it was confiscated as part of like his, the settlement or whatever. They took his assets, and that was considered an asset because of the price he paid for it.
Well, I would think so.
Yes.
Plus, he could always flip that to somebody if he really needed like the money quickly. Like, let's just say he went bankrupt and lost everything and like didn't go to jail. Like, he could still flip that for probably who knows how much.
Yeah.
Probably like 10 times over.
Well, apparently in July of 2021, the DOJ sold it to an NFT company called Pleaser DAO or Pleaser DAO. I don't know how to pronounce that.
What?
For $4 million, which was supposed to cover Shkreli's debts that he still owed. And apparently that company said they hope to make it more widely accessible, but it has not, as far to my knowledge, been released in any fashion yet.
They have to figure out how to just buy it back at this point and
Right.
do a do-over. That's kind of like the only thing that can be done to preserve the original intent. And I mean, was this album even like? Did they even tour with it? Like, did they even do the original intent, or was it just sold at auction?
I don't know. I don't think they did.
That's a shame.
So allegedly, Pleaser DAO says that they purchase non-NFTs that honor anti-establishment rebels, quote unquote.
I don't know what that means.
I don't. Well, apparently they had previously purchased NFTs related to Edward Snowden and Pussy Riot, the Russian punk band that has protested Putin a number of times and got arrested.
Okay.
And as part of so they purchased it for $4 million. The spokesperson Jameis Johnson described it as the ultimate protest against middlemen and rent seekers and musicians and artists, which had been rescued from the hands of Shkreli, the ultimate internet villain. The group hoped to make the album more widely available, but are bound by the restrictions forbidding its release to the general public. So Johnson suggested it could be played at listening parties or exhibitions. So they're trying to figure out how they could release it without breaking the terms of the agreement.
They must have a bunch of. I can't imagine how big that law team must be. That must be like half their freaking payroll.
Yeah.
For something.
Well, I would imagine if they streamed it on like Twitch or something or YouTube as like a listening party, that would be allowed, and then someone could just like record the stream and then release it.
That might technically count. Well, we shouldn't be giving them ideas in case they're listening, but I feel like that would be if you were going to do something diabolical, that would be the way to do it.
If anyone's listening, you definitely don't want to do that. Like, definitely don't record the stream if they ever do stream the album, and definitely don't release it so the rest of the world could hear it. That would be a really bad, illegal thing to do. So definitely don't do that. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Don't ever do that. It's a bad idea. We've warned you. We have done our duty as civil servants of this. Definitely.
Definitely don't download open broadcast software, and definitely don't record while you're watching this stream, and definitely don't put that recording up on some kind of platform such as YouTube or LimeWire.
Is LimeWire even
I
still a
don't
thing?
even know if it's still a thing.
Well, you should absolutely never do any of those things, because it is highly illegal and you will go to jail, and that means that less people will listen to our show, which will drop our YouTube subscriber count from now 30 to 10 again. But it's a long way to fall, folks. But as much as I would like to be the owner of this album someday, and I'd like to think that the Wu-Tang Clan is gonna come to my house and vet me and just hang out with me for a minute, and we'll have a very long discussion and deep conversation about the integrity of this album and why it belongs in my custody. I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's likely, but I can dream, can I? This album took about like 6 years to record, and they like totally in secret, and like produced it in Morocco. So like this was like as secret as you could get. Like I can imagine they're like getting like federal agents to like guard this thing to make sure that it like only goes, and there's like Moroccan spies that are like trying to look out for like these like Wu-Tang album tapes and stuff, and there's like people being assassinated over information regarding this album. I mean, who knows? That would be hilarious, and it's probably not true, but this is my fantasy, so I'm doing what I want with it. It's got everybody in the Wu-Tang Clan because they were recording because like they even have like ODB stuff on there somehow. Probably stuff that he recorded from like prison because they started working on it in like the late 2000s, so he had already passed by then.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's like just stuff that they had in the can for a long time that they just didn't do anything with.
yeah.
And it's got them. They've got Redman, the Wu-Tang Killer Bees. They even have like Clarice Van Houten from Game of Thrones, and even Cher is on this thing. And for some reason, they have the FC Barcelona soccer players. Like they just have them there. I like. How did they get all these people to Staten Island in secret?
How'd they get them to Morocco?
I that's if they went to Morocco. Did they fly these people out to Morocco? Did they just go places and they said, okay, we're gonna go to a recording studio like now? Like, did they go to an FC Barcelona game, like pretending that they were like huge soccer fans, and they were just like, okay, you guys get in the van now. We're going. Like, we can't tell you where we're going, but it's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
I don't even know. What is Cher even doing on this? I need to know.
yeah.
Like, it's weird. The part of my mother inside of that sounds awful. The stuff that I inherited from my mother's gene pool, that even still doesn't sound that good. It's not as bad as the first one, but yeah, that part of me needs to know. My mother's seen Cher in concert probably like 4 or 5 times.
Oh.
And I think all but one of them were probably on one of her many farewell tours. Something else that Kiss has in common. But yeah, I don't know. What are these people doing on this album? I need to know, but I probably will never know unless they buy the album back and they tour it around in all the major museums, and I happen to go that week. Like, I'd have to find out. I would take a day off of work specifically to do this. Like, it's a once in a lifetime thing, and just to say, oh my god, I heard Once Upon a Time in Shaolin.
Yeah.
That would be something to tell someone one day.
Yeah.
And that's it. But I don't even know. But they wanted to do this because they wanted it to be a form of fine art, and they wanted to like make sure that there was still value in music because of streaming and online, piracy and everything. They wanted to do this, and RZA wanted to bring prominence back into music, and he wanted to set the stage for other bands to do something like that, and other rap artists and just other musicians in general to just do this. And no one else has really tried this since, and no one did it before.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, this did not go the way that they expected, and I'm not even sure if they would be able. I don't even know if they would be able to actually do this, but yeah, it even had trouble getting where it needed to go because it was detained at Border Patrol for like 3 hours because they didn't understand what was inside this.
Yeah.
And like the album only ever got displayed once to like 150 art collectors and dealers and critics in Queens, and they had to do probably full-on cavity searches for these people to see if they were like going to record anything, and not even the whole album got played.
Yeah.
It clocks in at like 100, like almost 2 hours, about 110 minutes, and only 13 minutes of it has ever been played to the full audience as we know.
Mhm.
I don't know how many times. Well, I mean, Sherelle allegedly did not play it or anything like that, but who knows how many times he actually listened to this.
Yeah.
At some point, he thought about he told Vice that he thought about destroying the album or putting it in like some remote place so that people could like make it like just like go on like a big journey to like find this and listen to it.
Yeah.
And he did the Trump thing, and then all this other nonsense that he tried to auction it on eBay, and he tried to do all these other things before he could even do that. And like even like RZA tried to buy it, and he couldn't even do that contractually. So like the only thing that the Wu-Tang Clan could really do is find a way to buy it back somehow from Pleaser DAO.
Yeah.
But I don't really know how to make it right besides just only doing that. I don't even know. But it's something that we won't be able to. Well, if it goes the way that it is supposed to go, then you and I will probably, and most of the people listening, like if not everybody, unless there's major advancements in technology and just prolonging human life, that we won't be able to listen to this in our lifetime.
We might be able to.
Well, maybe. I said unless there's advances in modern medicine that
Which
could
there probably
do
will
that,
be.
which there might be, but I don't know.
I think we'll be able to listen to it.
Well, I'm glad you're optimistic.
My new goal in life is to live long enough to listen to Once Upon a Time in Shaolin when it's available for the public in 2103.
I mean, I hope my health is okay by then.
If they have to cut my brain out and put it in a robot body, then so be it. But I'm hearing that album.
Just don't put my head in a jar and reanimate me. Unless you can only do it for a limited time, then just bring me back to life, play the album, and just let me go quietly into whatever I'm in. I guess the tank? Or I don't know. Will we even still have day and night by then? We might not even be on this planet anymore. I don't even know.
True.
Who knows? They might even create an artificial planet. I don't know. There's just a bunch of wacky stuff going on, but I don't know. I hope we get to listen to this thing. But in its own way, it just adds to the whole entire lore of the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it's pretty ridiculous.
Yep.
And if you haven't checked out the Wu-Tang Clan show, a gosh, I'm tired. An American Saga. If you don't check that out, if you haven't checked that out, you absolutely should. It is an awesome show. It's not and also you got to check out the documentary Wu-Tang Clan of Mics and Men. That also is just unbelievable.
Yeah,
And
there's a number of things. There's books, there's documentaries. Obviously listen to the music too, because it's amazing.
anything you can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything you can do to get your hands on the Wu-Tang Clan.
If you get your
You
hands
gotta do it.
on the Wu-Tang Clan video game that was for PS1, what the hell? Do that too.
Yep. Or if you plan on doing anything at all with like if you find a way if you find a way to get a hold of Once Upon a Time in Shaolin, let us know. What would you do if you got a hold of that? Let us know in the comments on our YouTube channel, or just tell us in the Discord when you go over to patreon.com/whydoesthisexist and you give us some money. We'll let you in. Or maybe
Hey.
we'll just, I don't know, maybe we might even just open the Discord up for free at some point just to let people in. Maybe we'll do like a special, like a free week. We'll just give you a code and we'll let it run out. And then whoever joins, and then whoever doesn't get has to pay.
Has to pay the piper.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think that there's really a whole lot else to add. I mean, all the other things. I mean, we could discuss everybody's careers and everything like outside of it, but it would be there forever.
Yeah, we could
You'd be
spend
going
like
for
hours talking about that. So
yeah, and Wu-Tang is forever, but
yes,
our time on this show is not.
yeah,
Unless, of course, you're listening to it 40 years from now. Then it's forever.
yeah. And if anybody listening has Once Upon a Time in Shaolin, has access to it, and let us listen to it, and we'll do an episode on it.
Yep, and that's it. We can't stream it, but we could if someone wanted to invite us to a listening party of some kind, give us a call, and we'll be sure to just take notes and let people know how we feel about this album. I'm sure it's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, but I guess we could wrap this thing up now.
Yeah.
Thank you all for just tuning in and listening to us ramble about the Wu-Tang Clan and how just unbelievable and unstoppable this mighty machine is. Thank you, RZA, and everybody involved doing all of these awesome projects and just doing all of these cool albums. Check out the Ghostface Killer beer if you can. I'm gonna figure out where I could get a hold of it, and I will let you know on the show what I think of this and whether and how good or bad of an idea it was. I may have to just like practice with regular like ghost chilies and like
Good luck.
just to warm up.
Yeah.
Like figuratively and literally.
Yeah.
But just thank you all for your support, and we appreciate each and every one of you. This has been Why Does This Exist? I've been Chris.
And I've been Rob.
And remember, question everything.
Good night, everybody.
All right, episode 90. We got 10 episodes left to 100. We'll see you there, everybody.
Yeah.